Caitlin Clark is going to miss tonight's game, and she's got a groin injury. I have been banging the drum online and on here for the last 2 weeks saying there's something wrong with her legs. There's something going on. Is it the nagging quad injury? But it's something to do with the lower half of her body. It is a groin injury. Now we've got an idea of why she's struggling from long range, where it requires, some real push.
Caitlin Clark's groin injury is a lie. The injury itself is painfully real, but the lie is that this was some random unfortunate accident. It wasn't. This breakdown was the inevitable and predictable result of a brutal weeks-long campaign waged against her on the court. A campaign the league, its players, and its officials all chose to ignore. This wasn't a stroke of bad luck. It was the final stage of a systematic takedown. To understand how we got here, you don't start with the final injury. You have to start with the glaring warning signs that everyone saw coming.
And that is the news that Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury. Now, if you guys have been watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does.
For anyone paying close attention, the warning signs were flashing in bright neon long before the official injury report. This wasn't the same Caitlin Clark who had shattered college basketball records with a seemingly effortless combination of skill and swagger. For the past few games, she was a ghost of her former self. The statistics were the first glaring red flag. Just 1 single 3-pointer made in her last 3 games combined. For a player whose identity is built on her legendary long-range prowess, this was the equivalent of a silent scream.
Caitlin Clark is out again with an injury, which is the worst thing you can hear if you're a fan of the Indiana Fever, and really if you're a fan of the WNBA, because obviously Clark is the engine that makes the Indiana Fever go, and is the single biggest driver of interest in the WNBA, and it's not close. And anytime somebody is out of the lineup, you get concerned, especially when it's Clark, obviously, considering she had already been injured earlier this year and is now out with what is being dubbed a left groin issue.
But it was more than just the box score. Her energy, the very spark that made her a phenomenon, was gone. The player who usually hyped up the crowd, who electrified arenas with her passion, seemed to be running on fumes. The signature swagger was replaced with a quiet, visible weariness. Eagle-eyed fans, the ones who watch every possession, noticed the more subtle clues. They flooded social media and fan forums with concerns, pointing out the kinesiology tape wrapped around her upper leg in previous games. A clear physical sign that she was already battling something significant behind the scenes. She was carrying an injury in plain sight, and what happened next felt less like a surprise and more like a time bomb finally reaching zero.
Caitlin Clark out yet again with a left groin injury. Caitlin Clark will be missing tonight's game versus the Los Angeles Sparks. The venue will be open. Out with a left groin injury. We go from a quad to a quad to a groin.
This slow motion breakdown didn't happen in a vacuum. To understand the injury, you have to watch how she's been treated on the court since her professional debut. Every single game, Clark is subjected to a level of physicality that borders on a coordinated assault. This isn't just tough, welcome to the league defense. It's a systematic dismantling. When you watch the tape and slow it down, you can see the strategy unfold frame by frame. Elbows flying on screen set far from the ball, shoulders charging into her ribs on simple drives to the basket, and aggressive hip checks that look more at home in the NHL than the WNBA. It's a relentless, brutal campaign.
The Indiana Fever just lost a really tough game against the Los Angeles Sparks, and it comes back to the 4 things the Indiana Fever always have trouble with: missed layups, missed free throws, interior defense, and rebounding. That is why the Indiana Fever lost this game, and that's why they cannot be a championship team, in my opinion. You have to be able to get stops, you have to be able to rebound the basketball when you do force stops, but there was some positives in this game as well that we have to get into. Kelsey Mitchell was spectacular. I love to see her furthermore breaking her shooting slump. She had 20 points today on 44% shooting from the three-point line, so you like to see her have 3 back-to-back games in a row where she's having over 20 points. She's totally in her groove now.
The question is, when does a welcome become a targeted attack? It's impossible to ignore the simmering undercurrent of jealousy. Clark didn't just join the league, her arrival completely eclipsed it, commanding a level of media attention and fan adoration that many veterans have never seen. It seems some players are determined to make her pay for that spotlight, one bruise at a time. The hits often seem to have no real basketball purpose. They are designed to punish, to intimidate, to wear her down. And for this strategy to work so effectively, the attackers needed an accomplice. As it turns out, they found one in plain sight wearing stripes.
Her pre-game routine, she was doing some things differently. Some fans also noticed that she had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things pointing to the fact that something wasn't right. And I have to be totally honest with you guys, I'm not surprised by this news at all. I was just having a conversation with my fiance last night and I told him, I was like, I think Caitlin's hurt. I'm not going to be surprised if sometime soon the Indiana Fever pulls her and sits her for a few games. I think she is still battling some sort of injury. And less than 12 hours later, the news dropped from the Fever. But it's a tough blow not only to Caitlin because we know that she loves to be on the court. It's a tough blow for the Indiana Fever because that is their superstar. Whether she is playing to the best of her abilities or not, they are still a better team with her on the court.
The players delivering the hits are only half of the equation. The real mystery is happening on the sidelines, where the officials seem to have taken a collective vow of silence. The brutal, often dangerous contact continues, and the whistles remain quiet. You could drive a truck through the lane and get less contact than Clark does on a simple crossover. Physics-defying, limb-twisting, WWE-grade offenses are somehow being consistently chalked up to good physical defense. It's so blatant, so predictably one-sided, that it stops looking like simple incompetence and starts looking like a deliberate choice.
Dealing with an injury, not looking like herself, the game is already out of hand, yet we still put her back in with 45 seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing. To everybody that said Caitlin Clark didn't look like herself, salute to you. For everybody that said Caitlin Clark might be going through something, salute to you. Clearly, you all saw what that person that stands there like this can't see.
The league's biggest draw, its most marketable asset in a generation, is being treated like a human piñata, and the refs are just standing there seemingly holding the stick. Are they under some bizarre, unspoken directive to let them play to an absurd degree? Are they intimidated, or are they simply missing calls that a high school official would make? Whatever the reason, their inaction sends a clear, disturbing message to every other player in the league. Anything goes as long as the target is Caitlin Clark. This officiated chaos hasn't just hurt her body, it has created a full-blown crisis for the entire business.
Do look at it, and you take a look at the injury. Stephanie White spoke about it, so let me give you the latest. This all just came out, so this is all as I speak. Basically, Tony East, shout out to him. This is the video of Stephanie White discussing the Caitlin Clark injury.
With Caitlin, when did you guys find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Gotcha. Back.
This crisis extends far beyond the hardwood. It's a crisis of what many are calling Clarkonomics. Caitlin Clark is more than a player. She's a walking, talking, three-point shooting stimulus package for the entire WNBA. Her arrival triggered a financial explosion the league has never seen. Ticket sales for the Indiana Fever and their opponents have tripled. Arenas are consistently sold out. TV ratings have skyrocketed to levels that rival major men's sports. And the league even upgraded to charter flights, largely due to the revenue and attention she generated. She is, without exaggeration, the golden goose.
The cat is out the bag, dog, for Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark. It's being reported that she has suffered a left groin injury and she is out. Now, we all knew Caitlin Clark's health was a major issue. She has simply been playing some of the worst basketball of her career, and a lot of people, even myself, has been pretty vocal about Caitlin Clark and this shooting slump. A lot of people was blaming it on the front office. That's why I didn't even go down that line and produce content blaming it on the front office. There had to have been a reason why Caitlin simply wasn't Caitlin, and I told y'all, sources was telling me that something was bothering.
So what happens when that golden goose is injured? The entire ecosystem feels the shockwave. The Indiana Fever suddenly revert to being just another struggling team. Ticket prices on the secondary market, which had been astronomical, instantly plummet. The national TV broadcasts lose their main event and the casual viewers she brought in. The whole league holds its breath because they built their entire 2024 marketing strategy and business model around one person, and that person is now in the trainer's room with an ice pack. They are learning a terrifying lesson in real time. Without Clark, the money machine grinds to a halt.
So Caitlin Clark is out, y'all. She's injured. We don't know what it is. I think they said it's a groin or some shit like that. But guess what? It's not the end of the world, y'all. Only reason the WNBA will suffer is because they don't know how to market their game. Because they rely on being a one-trick pony. That's just like if you're a content creator and I make one viral video, but after I go viral, I stop making videos. That's the problem with the WNBA. They don't know how to make their league popular. They don't know how to celebrate their league and their players. See, Caitlin brought everybody to the WNBA because she has a rare skill that nobody in the WNBA had.
With a financial empire on the line, you would think the Indiana Fever's own organization would be her fiercest protector. However, the evidence suggests they may have been a key part of the problem. The coaching staff and management saw the exact same warning signs everyone else did. The fatigue, the uncharacteristic shooting slump, the grimaces of pain after hard falls. But they also saw the sold-out crowds, the merchandise flying off the shelves, and the endless ESPN highlights. It appears they made a dangerous and cynical gamble.
Can we stop treating Caitlin Clark like she's some type of villain? The hate that she gets from the other players in the WNBA is unmatched, and I don't understand it. All she's trying to do is put the WNBA on the map and raise it to another level, which is all she has done since she's gotten into the league. Ticket sales are through the roof. Sold out arenas because of Caitlin Clark. The ratings are through the roof. You've got more eyes and more people watching the WNBA now more than ever because of Caitlin Clark. And y'all steadily want to speak bad on her name. Y'all want a flagrant foul, try to fight her, mess her up in the games. Not regular basketball fouls. These are blatant, flagrant fouls trying to hurt this score.
If Caitlin Clark's body were a high-performance car, the check engine light had been flashing for weeks. But instead of taking the car to the shop for essential maintenance, they just turned up the radio, floored the accelerator, and hoped they'd reach their destination before the engine blew. They continued to play her heavy minutes, keeping her in games that were already decided, maximizing her on-court exposure. It was a calculated risk that clearly prioritized short-term profits and media buzz over the long-term health of their generational superstar. And now, with their biggest asset sidelined, that disastrous gamble has failed.
Now we finally know what it is, and it is a groin injury. Guys, I don't know what the situation is, what the hell they doing in practice, but we do know Caitlin Clark is being defended pretty aggressively throughout this season. These WNBA women is not taking any breaks with Caitlin Clark, and it's starting to get disturbing. I just did a video yesterday showing you guys the referees not calling certain fouls, allowing Caitlin Clark to constantly get hacked up and down the court. This is sad, man, and I'm hoping she get a speedy recovery. Maybe she sit out a game or two. But guys, we got the Commissioner Cup coming up. We got the AllStar Game coming up. This is the second damn injury Caitlin Clark has suffered this season.
This brings us to the upcoming All-Star Game, and a dilemma that could define the next chapter of this entire saga. Should she even consider playing? On the surface, being an All-Star is a great honor for a rookie, but strategically, sitting out might be the single most powerful move she could make. It wouldn't be a sign of weakness. It would be a silent, damning protest. Let the league host its marquee event without its marquee star. Let the television executives sweat as they watch the ratings. Let the Indiana Fever management and the league office face a reality where their entire business model is vulnerable.
Honestly, it's just a matter of they're playing on the road versus at home right now. They're very good at Cambridge. Caitlin Clark is very good at Cambridge, shooting about 45% on her three-pointers at home versus, I think, 6% on the road. It's been a very bad shooting season for Caitlin Clark away from home. They need their offense to travel, and it has not. So it's a point of concern if the Fever can't figure out how to turn this around, especially because they're a little bit shorthanded too. You know, they're missing Damaris Dantas for the AmeriCup, so they're a little thinner than you might have expected for a team that supposedly added up so much depth during the offseason. They're smaller. They're not rebounding the ball particularly well. And it looks great when like the crowd's behind them and the momentum is going at home. And then the minute some adversity hits, like there's just a lack of punch.
Her absence would be a statement louder and more impactful than any press conference. It would force them all to finally confront the fact that they have a fundamental duty to protect their players, especially the one single-handedly holding their entire enterprise on her young shoulders. Her playing is a win for them. Her resting and forcing them to feel the consequences of their inaction is a win for her. It would be her taking back control of a narrative that has, until now, been defined by others using her for their own gain. While everyone is focused on the torn muscle in her groin, they're missing the bigger picture. The most significant injury Caitlin Clark has suffered isn't physical at all. It's the invisible, crushing weight of the psychological toll. Imagine being 22 years old and being told, explicitly or not, that the financial health of an entire professional sports league rests on your performance every night. Every missed shot is scrutinized. Every loss is a national headline. Every word she says is dissected by a media machine desperate for content. This is more than just pressure. It's a form of mental warfare. She's not just playing against opponents. She's playing against sky-high expectations, online hate, and the resentment from those who feel she's stolen their spotlight. Mental exhaustion is a real and powerful force. It slows reaction times, clouds judgment, and makes the body more susceptible to the very physical injuries she's now enduring. The groin strain wasn't just caused by a sudden movement. It was the final result of a body and mind pushed past their absolute limits. The physical pain is temporary, but the mental strain is a far more dangerous and lingering threat. Now, with Clark on the sidelines in street clothes, a strange and uncomfortable truth is emerging from her own team. The Indiana Fever are being forced to figure out who they are without their savior, and the results are revealing. On one hand, you see players like Kelsey Mitchell stepping up, finally free from the need to defer to a superstar on every possession. There's a different flow to the offense, a sense that other players can now showcase their own talents without living in a giant shadow. But this silver lining has a dark cloud. Clark's absence has also put the team's fundamental flaws under a microscope. Without her offensive gravity pulling defenders away from the basket, the team's struggles with interior scoring and rebounding become painfully obvious. Her brilliance was papering over some serious cracks in the roster. This forces a terrifying question upon the Fever's front office. Did they build a team around Caitlin Clark, or did they just build a stage for her? Her injury proves it was the latter. They don't have a coherent system that can survive without its centerpiece, revealing an organizational failure that goes far beyond one player's health. In the end, this story is about so much more than a simple groin injury. It's about the crushing, almost impossible weight of a kingdom being placed on the shoulders of a 22-year-old. She is being asked to save a league, elevate a franchise, generate millions in revenue, and withstand a nightly physical and psychological onslaught all at the same time. This saga has ripped back the curtain and exposed the brutal realities simmering just beneath the surface of the WNBA. A volatile clash between the old guard and the new, a league that seems unable or unwilling to protect its own future, and a business that got so high on the Clarkonomics boom that it forgot the human cost. This isn't just an injury report, it's an expose of a fragile system. The Golden Goose is hurt and now everyone is scrambling. The only question that matters now is, will they finally learn their lesson before she's grounded for good?